This video is about the workflow in Jira and about the workflow within the development team. It is mostly for product owners because you're the one who are very much interested in how your workflow works. Workflows in Jira are usually set up in Jira settings and workflows. It should be your Scrum Master who can set it up for you, or you can do it for yourself. The workflow, why the workflow is important. You have to, when building a product, you have to have a process control. You have to have a transparency. You have to be able to see what's happening in your project and what state your project is in without having to talk to the team, without having to micromanage the team, without having to ask millions of questions like, what are you doing and what are you doing and what are you doing? And that's what workflow helps you do, and that's what Agile Board helps you do. So when building a product, and to build a product successfully, you have to own the process. If you don't own the process owns you. So in order to own the process, you have to use a workflow, and you have to use a proper workflow which helps your team communicate to each other, cooperate with each other flawlessly without being stopped or dependent. And you have to make sure that everyone spends the optimal amount of time on doing their work and people are not overloaded with stuff they don't have to do. Like, for example, you as a product owner, your main job is to concentrate on a product vision. Your main job is to concentrate on release planning and on talking to customers and getting feedback so that you build a product which people actually want instead of building a product that you think people might want. So most of your time should be spent talking to customers, planning releases, planning next features, and talking to the team, explaining what the market wants. And your time should not be divided into micromanagement, and your time should not be divided between testing and stuff like that. So that's why I recommend to use following stages of software development. First stage is when everything is assigned and when everything is listed, what needs to be done in the following sprint. Next step would be creating designs, thinking about the user experience and making visuals for the development team, for the developers and for the testers and everybody else to understand easier, because it's one thing when you describe everything, when you describe a story in words and giving a definition of done, but it's much better when your definition of done and the story you have described can be explained by visuals, by designs or wireframes. So the first stage is describe what you want. Second stage is visualize what you want. Work with the designer, create user experience and create user interface. Third stage is write the code. Implement what has been described and what has been depicted. Fourth stage, check what you've done. There's going to be a user acceptance testing. There needs to be a person who checks everything against the definition of done before the product owner gets to it. Because while working on stories, while working on subtasks, designers, developers, they get tired, they grow biases to their own work, and you need a set fresh of eyes and you need a set fresh of brains to check what has been delivered and if that is what we intended to deliver. So that's why I recommend having user acceptance testing. Ideally, I also recommend having a test during development, but not everybody can afford that because that's kind of expensive. And only after the user acceptance testing has confirmed that a story or a feature has been implemented according to the definition of done, then a product owner can take a look at the stuff delivered and check if that's his vision, if the development team was able to implement the vision, or if maybe the vision has changed. Either way, only after the designer designed it, after the developers gave it some thoughts and implemented it, and only after the user acceptance testing accepted the feature, only then a product owner should go ahead and look into the process. So on this diagram here, you can see the three categories of issue statuses in Jira. Jira tells you, and it's right, that every issue has three basic statuses: to do, in progress, and done. Gray color represents to do. It's all the work that needs to be done. Blue color represents in progress. It's all the work that is being done. It's work in progress. and green color represents done. Is the work complete? Well, I recommend to not understand user acceptance testing as a work complete, because we have to remember that we build our products to implement the vision of a product owner and to deliver to people the product they can use. And every story and every feature should only consider it to be done when people can actually use it and gain a value from it, and when a product owner can confirm that the vision has been implemented. So that's why when you move through the processes of the development team, the issue is still in progress. And only after accepted by the product owner and confirmed that there is a business value to features delivered, then you can consider the work complete. This is a diagram, and this diagram should be applied to the agile board on your project, and I will now show you how that is done. I'll go to my project I created for this video, and I'll show you the agile board that uses this workflow we have created. So either open a backlog or active sprint, go to the more button at the top and board settings. In the board settings, go to column. I recommend having 4 columns in the process, and 2 middle columns are going to have 2 statuses. Why that is done? For example, if you create 6 columns, and each column represents a separate status, that's going to be overcrowded. It's not going to be convenient for you to read subtask names. Everything is going to be cut down because most of us, we work on laptops. Only designers work on those huge screens, and they can have 10 columns, and that's still convenient for them to view it. Us simple people, we use laptops, and 4 columns is an optimal size for you to view the agile board. So you want to have the to-do column, in progress column, done column, and approved column. In to-do, obviously, you have everything that has status open. This is the work we have to do. We haven't started on it yet. We just need to do it. And in progress column, you have the in progress status, which means the developer or the designer has started work on the issue. Then you have a testing status, which means the designer or the developer has finished working on the issue, and the user acceptance testing department or person can now check if everything was implemented according to the definition of done and run it through the test cases. When the tester confirms that everything has been implemented according to the definition of done, they then assign the complete status to the issue, and only the complete issues are now available for the product owner to check it. So the product owner can just check the vision, check the value, and then decide whether or not we keep it in the sprint or we have to develop a little bit more, etc., etc. When the tester believe the definition of done were not accomplished, were not implemented, they assign a status reopened. And then the development team, or the designer or a developer, they know they have to fix stuff. And when they fix stuff, they again assign a status of testing, and for the user acceptance testing department to double check. And again, if everything is okay, they assign a complete status, and that is how a product owner knows they now can check if the vision was implemented, if there is a business value, etc., etc. So this is how I recommend to use statuses within the columns. Now let's see how it's going to work when you work on a sprint. Agile board represents active sprint. Let's say I'm a developer, and this is a subtask assigned to me. Right now it has an open status, so when I click on it, on the right side I see open. And now I'm going to start working on this issue, and I'm going to let everybody know that I have started working on this issue. I'm working on my subtask. And so I click a drop down here and I choose work begun. Everybody know the work has begun. And now it has in progress status. So that's what I've done, and now I will continue working on my sprint. Just give me a second. And I will continue working on my sprint, and right now my status is my issue should move on to in progress column. Let me see if Jira will do that automatically. Yes, Jira does that automatically, and it's now in progress column. Let's say I have finished working on it, and I think that it's ready for the user acceptance testing. Again, I click on my issue, I go to my drop down, and I choose where to transition it. I think that it's ready for user acceptance testing, so I click It's ready for user acceptance testing. And now user acceptance tester is going to see in a done column that they have stuff to check. Let's see, it should have moved to the, okay, it's going to be testing, and it's going to be, I think it will require me to log time. Yeah, we have restriction here on this board that you cannot move an assignment to a done column to a testing unless you have logged your time, so I have to log my time. I'm gonna do the full view, and I'm gonna choose log work and just give it 5 minutes, and now I log my work, and now again I click ready for UAT. So my issue is now ready for UAT. I can move on to the next issue, and now the tester knows they have something to work on. They have something to check. They have something to user acceptance test. Say right now I am a tester. I see that issues have arrived to the done column, so I open them, I run a test, and I say, no, not all the definition of done are finished. There are so many issues in it, so I'm gonna say the issue is not implemented as required. And now my issue has the reopen status, and when I close my issue, it's going to travel back to in progress. So as a developer, I now go back to my agile board, and I'm surprised, I have a subtask 1 in progress. I guess there are issues, and when I open it, there's going to be, if you're using a test rail or you're using bugs, you're going to see bugs attached to the story. You're going to see test rail tests failed, whatever you choose to track your bugs or for communicating your bugs. And as a developer right now, I'm going to start working on this issue to fix whatever was not fixed. And when I'm done doing that, I'm going to log my time to the issue. Let's say it's now took me 10 minutes. I'm gonna log my time to the issue, and I'm gonna tell the tester that my issue is done. And I forget to add the transition of the from reopen to done. Okay, so I have finished another subtask and log my time that I worked on my subtask. And I believe this issue is now ready for user acceptance testing, so I claim so. And my issue is now moved to the done column. And right now, as a tester, again, I open this issue, I run tests, I have to run, come on Jira, give me a pop-up. I run my tests, and I believe that the issue is complete as required. So this is what I claim, and I save the issue, and it stays here in a done column, because only a product owner can actually move issues to approved. For the product owners, how do you know which issues in a done column are in testing or which are complete? That's easy. You can use the quick filters and filter all the issues by statuses. And how to use filters on statuses, I will probably let you know a little bit later. So that's how you're going to be using your workflow, your proper workflow, when you only have to use a work which has been conferred by the developers, by the user acceptance testers. And trust me, that is going to save tons of your time. That is going to remove micromanagement, which is going to reduce stress, which is going to reduce tension and friction inside the team, and which is going to make your life so much easier and your workflow so much more flawless. And how to use quick filters, I'll tell you a little bit later in a separate video. Thank you very much. Hope this helps.